All right, I want to touch on the Oregon running back situation as well, because there's a really interesting stat that most of you probably don't know. Just because you wouldn't think about it, it did surprise me a little bit as well. Before I get to that, this question from a Locked On Ducks insider: does Oregon's dominance hurt Dante Moore's chances at a Heisman? He's played close to flawless so far, but he's only 6th on the Heisman watch. I can see him being pulled early multiple times this year, including this Saturday, by the way, which means his stats will be lower than other quarterbacks who are left in the whole game. If you're talking about winning the Heisman Trophy, yes. If you're talking about being a Heisman finalist, no, not necessarily. Because last year, Dylan Gabriel's stats weren't it wasn't a crazy, insane season. He just was the starting quarterback who was really good for the Big Ten champions who were 13-0 and the number 1 seed in the playoff. That's why Dylan Gabriel went to New York as a Heisman finalist. He didn't have insane stats, but if you're talking about actually winning the award this year, yeah, it's he wound up going for 3,857 yards, 30 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. And he went for 300 or so ish in the Rose Bowl against Ohio State. So yeah, you look at other Heisman winners. Bo Nix went for 4,500 yards. Obviously didn't win the award. Would have if they'd won the Pac-12 championship. Jaden Daniels total over 5,000 yards. Mariota had over 5,000 yards in his Heisman season. Bryce Young, I think, threw for over 5,000 yards. Joe Burrow went for 6,000 yards. Those numbers, yeah, Dante's not going to get those. And I'm going to give you the Stephen A. Smith line here. We don't care. Would it be cool for another Oregon player to win the Heisman? Obviously. It'd be great. It'd be really exciting. It'd be really fun. Does anybody care about that? You know why Jaden Daniels won the Heisman in 2023? Because LSU wasn't good enough to have anything else to celebrate that year. I'd rather Dante be healthy, come out of games, and win, and not win anything close to the Heisman, and Oregon go win a national title. So yeah, it definitely hurts. There's no doubt about it. But does it mean he can't be a finalist? No, I don't think so. Okay, a couple running back questions here. This is from Tyler. Do you think when the season's over, Oregon will look back and wish they gave the ball to De'Aaron Hill more? I know the Ducks are rotating a lot of backs right now, and they have a ton of talented players that also deserve to get the ball. In my opinion, just based on eye test, De'Aaron's the second most explosive player with the ball in his hands to DeCorey and more on this team. I've taken into consideration that De'Aaron's a true freshman and mostly lines up in the slot for jet sweeps. What say you? I'm not going to be surprised if, as the season goes on, De'Aaron Hill continues to be a part of the offense and Jay Harris and Mekhi Hughes fade to the background with Jordan Davison. I wouldn't be surprised at that whatsoever. Now, I was definitely surprised just because he had a lot of cachet coming over in the offseason. Mekhi Hughes is as far down on the list as he is. But something that Will Stein has said is, boy, we didn't fully realize how good these young guys are going to be. And I knew those were talented dudes. I've just looked at them and thought, yeah, they're true freshmen. That's, going to be tougher to play. But as Dan Lanning always says, and I've always pushed back on this notion, Dan Lanning doesn't play true freshmen. Like, no, they've played every single year he's been here. If you're good enough, you're old enough, is what Lanning always says. De'Aaron Hill, goodness gracious. Doing shows with a cold is so annoying. Anyway, De'Aaron Hill is really good. Really, really good. And I agree with you that his explosiveness, which was the defining characteristic of his tape. He and Jordan Davison coming out of high school, when I talked about him on the show, and other people made this observation as well, they're seen as thunder and lightning because Davison is the hammer, the heavy hitter, and De'Aaron Hill is the home run hitter kind of guy. That's what they look like. I mean, they look that way perhaps quicker than we thought, but they look really, really good. Now, here's the interesting thing. Think about this as you're listening to or watching the show. Noah Whittington has 14 carries in 2 games for 159 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's 11.4 yards a carry. Which player has the second most carries on the team through 2 games? Did you know that it's Mekhi Hughes? Doesn't feel that way because of all the running backs, he actually has the lowest yards per carry of anybody except for Jay Harris. Everybody else that's a running back is above him. And so Hughes being the, number 5 guy, really 5 or 6, I think is a good spot for Oregon to be in. It's not that Mekhi Hughes isn't capable of being good. I think he is. It's just that when you watch the other guys, I kind of agree with, the energy that Tyler was bringing with this question. Like, when you watch De'Aaron Hill, yeah, they have different skill sets, so they're used in different situations to be sure. But, I mean, how does De'Aaron Hill's role go away? Why would it go away? I don't think it really needs to. If he's your gadget fly sweep guy, okay, great. And then if, in the next year or two, he eventually evolves into a more complete back that can be a workhorse and take 15 to 20 carries a game, great. But if he just winds up being a guy who you're trying to create explosive plays with, every offense has those sorts of dudes. And so that's not Mekhi Hughes' game. And so throughout the year, I'm definitely thinking that De'Aaron Hill has a better chance to have a consistent role in the Oregon offense, more so than Mekhi Hughes. That's not to say Hughes couldn't work his way up the depth chart. Jayden Lamar has looked pretty darn good. Jay Harris has done some really good things as well. Could he move past those guys? I think so. I think it's pretty clear at this point you can't get past Whittington. Holy smokes. He just looks like a rejuvenated and revitalized guy. And, he has always had the home run speed. Sorry, I had to do a quick cut here on YouTube to blow my nose. But anyway, so, I think I don't think they're going to look back and say, oh, should have given him the ball more. I don't see how he stops getting the ball, quite frankly. Same vein, MBB311 says, I'd like to see De'Aaron Hill and Davison overtake Jayden Lamar in the depth chart come November. I think those two offer more in every department except experience, but I was not impressed with Lamar's long speed. That being said, I'm not sure where to place my expectations for Mekhi Hughes at this point, but I feel confident trusting the staff. How do you think this RB room will evolve through our 3-part season, Spencer? Talked about that 3-part season. Lanning's mentioned it as well. It's 5 games by, and then I think 3 games by. Let me pull that up real quick just so so by week of October 4th, and then play 3 games, and then a bye, and then 4 games, and that's how you get to 12. So, yeah, I think throughout the year, it's going to condense at least a little. I don't know how much, but, right now, the carry distribution is 14 for Whittington, 9 for Lamar, 6 for Hill, 10 for Hughes, 9 for Davison, 8 for Harris, and 5 for Riggs. Yeah, Harris, Davison, Riggs, I can see him getting pushed down a bit, but Davison can be that goal line specialist sort of guy. And De'Aaron Hill could be someone that is the gadget sort of guy. And Mekhi Hughes might not have a consistent role, but what if Noah Whittington goes down for an injury? Who do you trust to be your number one workhorse back? You going with Jayden Lamar? Could. Guy's done some really good things this year. It doesn't look as dynamic and explosive when Jayden Lamar makes a big play as it does when Whittington or especially De'Aaron Hill does. Like, I understand where you're coming from with that. I think that of all the running backs in the room, consistently at some level, and the touches are going to fluctuate or condense down a bit, and a couple guys will fall back a little. I think you're just going to see 4 guys throughout the year. I think De'Aaron Hill is going to be in a gadget role, and then I think you're just going to see at least 3 running backs consistently get carries throughout the season. So interested to see how they do it this week against Northwestern. If you have more questions about the Wildcats, drop them in the comments below. Hit me up on Twitter, all that good stuff. Thank you for putting up with me and as I battle a cold. Hopefully it's better on tomorrow's show. Appreciate everyone listening. I'll see you next time. Until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and go Ducks.